We've all heard stories about the Russian dictator, but who is the real Vladimir Putin? There is scattered information about his early life, and there is so much more we still don't know about the former Prime Minister of Russia. So, we have done our research on this and we have come up with insights to the early life of Vladimir Putin and all the secrets about him. Welcome to Facts Insight. For more videos such as this one, please visit this channel for insights based solely on facts. Make sure to subscribe and give a like. Who is Vladimir Putin? When Vladimir Putin was appointed Prime Minister of Russia, very little was known about his background. This former Soviet intelligence agent entered politics in the early 1990s and rose rapidly. By August of 1999, ailing President Boris Yeltsin, 1931, appointed him Prime Minister. When Yeltsin stepped down in December of 1999, Putin became the acting president of Russia and he was elected president to serve a full term on March 26, 2000. Vladimir Putin was born in 1952 in St. Petersburg, then known as Leningrad. After graduating from Leningrad State University, Putin began his career in the KGB as an intelligence officer in 1975. Putin rose to the top ranks of the Russian government after joining President Boris Yeltsin's administration in 1998, becoming Prime Minister in 1999 before taking over as president. Putin was again appointed Russian Prime Minister in 2008 and retained his hold on power by earning re-election to the presidency in 2012. Following the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, he retired from the KGB with the rank of colonel and returned to Leningrad as a supporter of Anatoly Sobchak, a liberal politician. On the latter's election as the mayor of Leningrad, 1991, Putin became his head of external relations and first deputy mayor, 1994. After Sobchak's defeat in 1996, Putin resigned his post and moved to Moscow. In 1998, he was appointed deputy head of management in Boris Yeltsin's presidential administration in charge of the Kremlin's relations with the regional governments. Shortly afterwards, he was appointed head of the Federal Security, an arm of the former KGB, and head of Yeltsin's Security Council. In August 1999, Yeltsin dismissed his Prime Minister Sergei Stopashin together with his cabinet and promoted Putin in his place. Early life and education. Vladimir Putin was born on October 1, 1952 in Leningrad, now St. Petersburg, Russia. An only child, his father was a foreman in a metal factory and his mother was a homemaker. Putin lived with his parents in an apartment with two other families. Though religion was not permitted in the Soviet Union, the former country, which was made up of Russia and other smaller states, his mother secretly had him baptized as an Orthodox Christian. Though a small child, Putin could hold his own fights thanks to martial arts classes. By the age of 16, he was a top-ranked expert at Sambo, a Russian combination of judo and wrestling. By the time he was a teenager, Putin had begun to display the ambition that he later became known for, and he attended a respected high school, School 281, which only accepted students with near-perfect grades. The institution was the only one in Russia to stress chemistry, which was Putin's interest. However, he soon moved toward liberal arts and biology. Putin played handball and worked at the school radio station, where he played music by the Beatles and other Western rock bands. Fascinated with spy movies as a teen, he aspired to work for the KGB, the Russian Secret Service. Work in the KGB. At Leningrad State University, Putin graduated from the law department in 1975, but instead of entering the law field right out of school, Putin landed a job with the KGB, the only one in his class of 100 to be chosen. The branch he was assigned to was responsible for recruiting foreigners who would work to gather information for KGB intelligence. In the early 1980s, Putin met and married his wife, Lydumila, a former teacher of French and English. In 1985, the KGB sent him to Dresden, East Germany, where he lived undercover as Mr. Adamov, the director of the Soviet-German House of Friendship, a social and cultural club. Putin appeared to genuinely enjoy spending time with Germans, unlike many other KGB agents, and respected the German culture. Around the time Putin went to East Germany, Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev was beginning to introduce economic and social reforms. Putin was apparently a firm believer in the changes. In 1989, the Berlin Wall, which stood for nearly 40 years separating East from West Germany, was torn down and the two united. Though Putin supposedly had known that this was going to happen, he was disappointed that it occurred amid chaos and that the Soviet leadership had not managed it better. Russian politics. In 1990, Putin returned to Leningrad and continued his undercover intelligence work for the KGB. In 1991, just as the Soviet Union was beginning to fall apart, Putin left the KGB with the rank of colonel in order to get involved in politics. Putin went to work for Anatoly Sobchak, the mayor of St. Petersburg, as an aide and in 1994 became deputy mayor. During Putin's time in city government, he reportedly helped the city build highways, telecommunications, and hotels, all to support foreign investment. Although St. Petersburg never grew to become the financial powerhouse that many had hoped, its fortunes improved as many foreign investors moved in, such as Coca-Cola and Japanese electronics firm NEC. On to the Kremlin. In 1996, when Sobchak lost his mayoral campaign, Putin was offered a job with the victor, but declined out of loyalty. The next year, he was asked to join President Boris Yeltsin's inner circle as Deputy Chief Administrator of the Kremlin, the building that houses the Russian government. In March of 1999, he was named Secretary of the Security Council, a body that advises the president on matters of foreign policy, national security, and military and law enforcement. In August of 1999, after Yeltsin had gone through 5 prime ministers in 17 months, he appointed Putin, who many thought was not worthy of succeeding the ill president. For one thing, he had little political experience. For another, his appearance and personality seemed boring. However, Putin increased his appeal among citizens for his role in pursuing the war in Chechnya. In addition to blaming various bombings in Moscow and elsewhere on Chechen terrorists, he also used harsh words in criticizing his enemies. Soon, Putin's popularity ratings began to soar. In December of 1999, Russia held elections for the 450-seat Duma, the lower house of Russia's parliament. Putin's newly formed Unity Party came in a close second to the Communists in a stunning showing. Though Putin was not a candidate in this election, he became the obvious frontrunner in the upcoming presidential race scheduled for June of 2000. On New Year's Eve in 1999, Yeltsin unexpectedly stepped down as president, naming Putin as acting president. Immediately, Western news media and the US government scrambled to create a profile of the new Russian leader. Due to Putin's secretive background as a KGB agent, there was little information. His history as a spy caused many Westerners and some Russians as well to question whether he should be feared as an enemy of the free world. In Putin's first speech as acting president, he promised freedom of speech, freedom of conscience, freedom of the press, the right to private property. These basic principles of a civilized society will be protected, according to a Newsweek report. In addition, Putin removed several of Yeltsin's loyalists and relatives from his cabinet. Elected President. On March 26, 2000, Russians elected Putin out of a field of 11 candidates. After his election, Putin's first legislative move was to win approval of the START II arms reduction treaty from the Duma. The deal, which was negotiated 7 years earlier, involved decreasing both the Russian and the American nuclear buildup by half. Putin's move on this issue was seen as a positive step in his willingness to develop a better relationship with the United States. In addition, one of Putin's earliest moves involved working with a team of economists to develop a plan to improve the country's economy. On May 7, 2000, Putin was officially sworn in as Russia's second president and its first in the free transfer of power in the nation's 1100-year history. Putin, a soft-spoken and stone-faced man, keeps his personal life very private. In early 2000, an American publishing company announced that in May, it would release an English-language translation of his memoirs, First Person, which was banned from publication in Russia after the March 26 presidential election. Putin has made great efforts to improve relations with the remaining world powers. In July 2001, Putin met with Chinese President Jiang Zemin and the two signed a friendship treaty which called for improving trade between China and Russia and improving relations concerning US plans for a missile defense system. 4 months later, Putin visited Washington, D.C. to meet with President George W. Bush over the defense system. Although they failed to reach a definite agreement, the two leaders did agree to drastically cut the number of nuclear arms in each country. Early in 2002, Putin traveled to Poland and became the first Russian president since 1993 to make this trip. Representatives of the two countries signed agreements involving business, trade, and transportation. Ex-wife of Putin, Lydumila. In the mid-90s, Lydumila Putina, during her trip to Hamburg, met a German woman, Irene, and the two became pen friends. For several years, they sent each other handwritten letters in which Lydumila told in detail about her life. From 1996, 1997, 1998. Then they stopped communicating. Lydumila's former friend even wrote a book about this called Spicy Friendship. It was published in Russian in 2002, but unfortunately it quickly disappeared from the shelves. It contains excellent photographs of Putin's already very recognizable daughters, or these women, as he himself calls them. From Lydumila's letters, we learn a lot about Putin's life already at the end of those wild 90s. Lydumila describes in detail each vacation. In 1996, they spent 6 weeks in Davos, together with the Shamalov family, with whom they will become related in 15 years. Several times a year, the family of the official travels to France, in the summer to have a rest on the sea, and in the winter to ski. Lydumila Putina exposes a typical Putin lie. She describes how in the summer of 1998, we went on vacation to Cannes for 6 weeks. But on July 22, Putin had to abruptly interrupt his vacation and return to Moscow. He was appointed director of the FSB. We chose Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin for a reason. He is a professional with experience in the entire range of tasks the FSB faces. This episode is also described in the only official biography of Putin. Only according to their version, the vacation was not in Cannes but on the Baltic Sea. Putin Palace. The most secret and guarded facility in Russia without exaggeration. This is not a country house, not a dacha, not a residence. This is a whole city, or rather a kingdom. It has impregnable fences, its own port, its own guards, a church, its own access control, a no-fly zone, and even its own border checkpoint. It is an actual separate state within Russia. And in this state, there is a single and irreplaceable king, Putin. Wait, you'll say, we heard about this palace. We know that it was once built for Putin, but then, when the whole story was revealed, the construction was frozen and some businessman bought the palace, right? You're telling us some old story. You are wrong. This story is unknown to anyone. Firstly, you cannot imagine the true size of this palace. Secondly, there was no sale. This is a legal illusion created through several bogus deals in an active media campaign. The only real owner of this famous place from the very beginning to the present day is Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin. This is everything you need to know about the early life to the present life of Vladimir Putin. Let us know in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel to get the latest updates. Thanks for watching and see you soon in the next video.